Who would have thought that someone with absolutely no fish keeping experience could successfully set up an aquarium on their very first try? That was me. I had never kept fish before, but with a budget of just a little over 200 yen, I decided to build my first aquarium from scratch. 3 months later, the fish were still healthy, active, and thriving. The journey started with cleaning the tank. That part seemed simple enough. Next came the substrate. I had purchased a type of sand advertised as pre-washed and ready to use. At first glance, it looked perfectly clean. But when I rinsed it, the water turned cloudy and dirty almost immediately. One rinse wasn't enough. 2 rinses weren't enough. Even after 5 washes, dirt was still coming out. It wasn't until the 6th rinse that the water finally became clear. That was my first lesson. Never skip preparation, even when the packaging says you can. Once the substrate was ready, I carefully transferred it into the aquarium using a container to avoid scratching the glass. Then I added a small amount of aquatic soil and adjusted the layout until everything looked natural. Now came the most important step, adding water. Instead of pouring water directly into the tank, I used a barrier to soften the flow. This prevented the sand from being disturbed and kept the aquascape intact. Small details like this can make a huge difference. Then I made a mistake that many beginners make. While filling the tank, I suddenly realized that I hadn't moved it to its final location yet. If I filled it completely, it would become far too heavy to lift safely. Thankfully, I noticed in time and carefully moved the tank onto the bookshelf before adding the rest of the water. After the tank was filled, I started the filter. The goal wasn't just to clean the water, it was to begin growing beneficial bacteria that help break down harmful waste. Then came the waiting. Day 1 passed, day 2 passed. By the 3rd day, the water had become crystal clear. That was when my first fish arrived, zebradanios. They're famous for being hardy, active, and beginner-friendly, making them ideal fish for a new aquarium. Looking back, the biggest lesson wasn't about expensive equipment or complicated techniques. Success came from patience, preparation, and paying attention to the small details.